So, Michael, is Laura your guest?
Yes, she is.
Very good.
Laura is the president of the Liberal Gun Club,
right.
which I was talking to her last week, and she said that they've seen a huge spike in membership and interest. So I thought we'd have her on the show. As you know, San Diego County Gun Owners is a nonpartisan group.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that everybody across the political spectrum, whatever your political philosophy is, respects your right to keep and bear arms. So I wanted to have Laura come on and talk a little bit about that.
All right. Hi, Laura. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Hey, we're doing a gun show. How much more fun could you possibly be having unless we were at the range?
Well, true. You know, I just bought a 1886 LC Smith shotgun this week. I haven't had a chance to take out, so I might have more fun with that, but this is second best.
Wow, yeah, there you go.
So tell us a little bit about your organization, the Liberal Gun Club.
So just to correct quickly, I'm the president of the California chapter of the Liberal Gun Club. I'm the vice president and the national spokesperson for the national organization. We're a national organization of liberals, not Democrats, but liberals all across the board, everything from libertarians to communists, who all respect the right to keep and bear arms.
That's interesting. Now, what's the main goal and focus of the Liberal Gun Club?
The main goal and focus is education. So we do quite a lot of outreach. We have training programs. We have instructor programs. We have shoots. We have get-togethers for our chapters. We have national get-togethers. We're working on putting together a program to teach people who've never been around a gun how to safely unload one if you find one. We think that's a big issue, especially in communities where, you know, your kid may bring one home or where there hasn't been a lot of education on guns. You know, that woman in Florida who fired the handgun to see if it was loaded when she found it in the fitting room with her kids. Incredibly lucky she didn't kill her child.
Wow.
So we want to keep stuff like that from happening.
Sorry, I got to pick Dave up off the floor ever since he said the word communist. I got to help him back into his chair here.
I'm thinking a communist with a gun. A communist with a gun. I don't know. Is that a good thing? I don't know.
We are partisan in that we are really for the more liberal side of the spectrum.
Right.
But you know, we are pretty strong Second Amendment supporters. Our kind of tagline is every single civil right for every single person.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's just get it out in the open. I mean, everybody, not everybody, but many people are thinking, well, gee, how can this be possible? Because, you know, many of the gun laws, just about all the gun laws you can think of that are passed in California are championed by typically Democrats that describe themselves as being politically liberal. It's turned into a, you know, liberal versus conservative, Republican versus Democrat. How do you, talk a little bit about that, and how do you address that, and what are your thoughts on that in general?
Well, I think it's better addressed as that it's a Democrat versus Republican issue. I think that this is where the liberal politicians are wrong, but I actually think supporting the Second Amendment really is a liberal position, right? That liberals should be saying, hey, you know, we support the Constitution, we support sort of, right? So it seems, at least in the political divide as we see it in this country, that conservatives are kind of more the strict constructionists and the liberals are more, no, these things develop. And this is the one issue where that seems to get flipped on its head. But, you know, to be a true liberal, you ought to be saying, hey, look, I might not like this civil right, I might not agree that we need to have it, but I'm not going to stop somebody from doing this because I don't like it.
So now what happened? I mean, you know, if you go back a generation or two, I think it was very much a liberal issue. You know, there are a lot of quotes by Kennedy and many others that are very favorable about civilian ownership of firearms for defense and that sort of thing. So what, in your opinion, what happened in the last, 30, 40 years?
I think media happened. I think that the parties saw a wedge issue. They didn't, you know, I mean, I really say this a lot. I really think that abortion and guns are really the flip side of the same issue. You know, each party's stance on this makes absolutely no sense if you look at what they're supposed to stand for. And I think that They are simply emotional wedge issues, and one party picked one and the other party picked another, and neither one of them makes a bit of sense, but it works well in the media. And I think one of the other things that happened is both those issues lend themselves to sound bites, right?
Yeah.
And
they do.
And they're fear politics. That's
right.
what they're about, and both parties like them, and this just happens to be the one that the Democrats picked. And I think both parties are wrong on fear politics, but I'm happy to call the Democrats out that this is wrong.
And you're you actually live in the Bay Area, right?
I do. I'm actually sitting in Berkeley talking to you right now. I live close to Berkeley.
Are you ducking?
Yeah, no. It's really funny. We have a ton of ranges here. We've lost a few. Interestingly, mostly because of the cost and value of land and the sound issue, not so much that it's guns. But when you go to the ranges here, you can't get a bench. You can't get a spot. Most of the gun clubs here are completely full up or getting ready to close their memberships. It's amazing.
So when
lots of people shoot here.
When you're in a room full of liberals and you are outed as being pro Second Amendment, how does that go over? Talk just a little bit about what happens. What's that experience?
That experience often is really positive. A lot of my friends are mostly fascinated that we do this, but I'm out about this. It's all over my Facebook page. I mean, I've been on national and international news. It's not like I hide this. So my friends mostly know. When people start talking about it, I talk about it a lot. I have lots of people who say, "Hey, would you take me to the range and teach me this? Like, I really want to learn it, and I'm not supposed to, and I can't tell anybody." That is the most common reaction. Wow. Occasionally I get "you're an NRA partisan hack," and to that I say, go read my blog posts and my opinions on the NRA. They don't like me very much. Like that. I get that very, very occasionally, but for the most part, I get a positive response. And I think that positive response comes from the fact that when you look at surveys even now, about 25% or more of Democratic households have a gun in them. It's not like this is really a political divide. It really is that the media makes this a political divide.
Geez, what happened to journalism? All right, hey, Laura, I'm going to have to let you go, but I really thank you for calling in, and I'm sure Mike will have you on down the road because you're a bright, fresh air. We don't normally hear that, so we appreciate it. So people can go to Laura Smith at the Liberal.
What's the website for the Liberal Gun Club?
So our website is www.theliberalgunclub.com. You can see our forums, our blog posts, and we also have a Facebook page.
All right. Well, hey, keep up the good work. Stay in touch and be safe.
Thank you all for having me on.
Our pleasure.
Without someone doing something about it, it's not going to get any better.